Hello, everybody. My name is Kiko. Sorry for the squeaking of the chair. This is my first live. Let me clean the lens here real quick. There we go. This is my first live for my return to the Alcatraz Invitational. I'm a 52-year-old, born in Brazil, raised in Southern California, multiple amputee. And so I'm going to basically just introduce you guys and give you guys this backstory of what, how I got to my point, how I got to this right here. I hope somebody sees this. I hope that my purpose for doing these is this is going to be a journey, right? For me to lose weight, for me to get back into training, for me to just basically document everything. Some will be live videos like this. Some will be edited videos where I send them. I take them with my cell phone on at the pool, training, whatever, cycling, and then I will post them. So, anyways, I grew up in Brazil as a child, and I never didn't live across the street from the beach. So swimming in water and everything was always a part of my life, right? My mother said that I moved so much in her stomach that I was meant to be a swimmer. So, anyways, I lived in active addiction for 20 plus years of my life, and as a direct result, like, I lost all of this and all the appendages that I showed you before, as a direct result of nicotine, right, and narcotics, drug use. I am now 13 years clean, in recovery, and I have 11 years clean from nicotine. So my story starts in 2010, right? I'm celebrating 10 years clean. I'm out in California visiting my mom and my sister. I just spent a week with my mom. I fly up to Sacramento, and as soon as we get to Sacramento and my sister picks me up and takes me home, as soon as we walk in the house, she turns on the television and the news says that San Francisco just got put in shelter in place, just went to shelter in place. And she turned around to me, she said, you know what, you might want to change your flight and go home a little early. San Francisco's not that far away. We don't know what's going on. Right? Everybody was scared, stuff like that. So, anyways, I changed my flight. And 2 days later, I jumped on a plane. And while I was on the runway taxiing to take off, my sister sent me a text message, and it said Sacramento just got put on shelter in place. So I got out there just in the nick of time. I got back here in sunny South Florida, and I literally locked myself in this house. I live by myself. I work out of my office. I'm a graphic designer. And so I didn't leave. I was scared just like everybody else. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what it was, right? All the fears of like zombies and all this other shit, stuff we see on television and movies and stuff like that. Anyways, all that stuff, plagues our heads and stuff like that. And it definitely plagued mine. And so I stayed in the house, and I only left absolutely necessities. Anyways, while I sat in the house, I ate and I ate and I ate and I ate for every reason, because I was happy, because it was morning, because it was night, because I was sad, because I was upset, because I was down, because I was up. Didn't matter what, but I was constantly eating. And just thinking back, man, wow. So anyways, this body just, got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And in October of 2010, at the end of the year, my sponsor had a retreat for all of his sponsees up in New Hampshire. And when I went up there, I was 400 pounds. I was 395 pounds. And it was just ridiculous, man, the amount of weight I was at, and I didn't understand it until I got up there. And when I got there, the bathroom, which was next to the bedroom where I was staying in this Airbnb, this cabin, um, the toilet was a smaller size toilet, and it was less than a foot from the wall. And I already knew I was in trouble when I saw it. And the Friday night dinners always catered by one of the sponsee brothers from the Bronx, New York, and he drives it in, and it happened to be chicken and potatoes and stuff like that. And for whatever reason, the piece of chicken that I ate was not cooked all the way through, and was bad. And I look at it now and I think to myself, this was God's way of giving me an opportunity to do something about my life, right? And so I did. I ended up on the toilet 7 times the very next day, and I couldn't even wipe myself. That's how big I was. Right, I had to jump in the shower and figure out ways and means to clean myself, and it was extremely embarrassing and disrespectful to myself, and undignified. I thought to myself, like, I got clean off of drugs, and I'm in recovery, and I'm dealing with that, and I'm going to therapy, and I'm dealing with my traumas from the past. And I got 10 years clean, and here I am with 10 years clean and all this stuff, all this great stuff, and I'm killing myself with food, right? And so what I did was I made a decision. I made a decision that I'm going to do something about it, but I was terrified. I didn't know how to take that first step. And it reminded me of when I first came into recovery, I didn't know how to get into recovery, right? And at that time, divine intervention happened, right? Something got set up. And so it's funny, man, how all the big thing events in my life were initiated, where there was fear, was initiated by divine intervention. Anyways, so I spent the next day, Saturday, on the toilet 7 times, sick as a dog. And I left the retreat on Sunday, flew back to South Florida, and in 2 weeks, something about intermittent fasting came across my desk, either my phone or Instagram or something. And I decided to try it. I had tried it before. I had liked it, but I didn't stick with it. And so I tried it again, and it stuck. Anyways, needless to say, I was pescatarian at the time. And what happened was, when I started intermittent fasting, I went into my kitchen probably about 2 weeks later and stuff. And I looked up in the cabinet. I was on the phone with my mom, and I was like shocked. And I told my mom, I said, I can't understand, how in the fuck am I going to eat all of this food? Right? I was hoarding food. I didn't understand I was doing that. But at that moment, I did. And so I understood that calorie counting needed to be restricted. And so I started restricting my calories. I started writing it down, everything, every single thing. I would go on Google and write down, how many calories does cauliflower have? How many calories do beans have? How many calories does pasta have? And when I made a dish, I put all the calories together and then broke it down into how many portions I pulled out of that one pot. And I just started doing it. I have stacks I have stacks and stacks and stacks of those little notepads and stuff with stuff written down each day. And yeah, I got into it. It started becoming a thing where, like, every day I would write down exactly what I was going to eat and how many calories, and I would look on the back of the boxes and whatever. And then the whole health thing came in, right? And I grew up growing my own food as a kid in Southern California, right? We had a massive garden, probably about 30 fruit trees of all different types throughout the property. I lived on a 2.5-acre property. And so I grew up understanding eating from earth, right? And that how good food is from the earth, right? And not from the supermarket and stuff like that. And so, and my mom believes in food, and she eats 90% of what she grows in her backyard right now, right? She has honeycombs. She gets her own honey from her honey hive. Uh, Tons of vegetables, herbs, everything you could think of, right? And so her husband also is an amazing guy. He makes bread and shit like that. They make pasta from scratch. So what do you call it? So I've always grown up eating healthy, and I've always known what eating healthy is, but you get caught up with city life and shit like that, and it's real easy to get caught up with something simple and easy and fast, and so this takes time. And so what happened was, little by little, I started to realize that I need to go plant based. And I was already pretty much plant based. I was eating seafood from time to time, and so what do you call it? I uh, I decided to go strictly plant based all the way. All the meats that I eat are all going to be plant based meats. And I'm going to try my best to figure out how to cook a lot of different new stuff. I'm already a really good cook, but now I need to switch it over to a plant based lifestyle and plant based diet. And so that's what I did. I figured it out, man. And so sorry, my nose is just really itchy this morning. I don't know why. Maybe allergies or something. Anyways, I got 5 cats, man. So, anyways, um, I stuck to a plant-based diet, and I started losing massive amounts of weight. I mean, I lost like 10 pounds in the first month. Plus, I started restricting my calories down to about 1,500 calories a day, and I figured out I was eating almost 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day and not moving. And that was the issue, and that's always been my issue. It's not what I eat; it's when I eat and how much I'm eating, right? And how much exercise and movement I'm doing. And I wasn't doing any. And so what happens is I just started dropping pounds, right? And 10 pounds in the first month, and then the next month, the next month, the next month, and I kept dropping, 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 and it started slowing down after a couple months. And then in May of 2021, I just started to start swimming because I've always loved swimming. I will always love the water. When I'm in the water, I don't have to care. I don't care about my amputation. The leg comes off, and I turn into a fish. Right. I absolutely love water. So, anyways, I started swimming. It was a struggle to get back into it, and then little by little by little, I slowly started to make more progress every day. I started going there every day. It's a free little pool over here, and then one Saturday morning, like I was so addicted to swimming that I wanted to swim so bad, and I showed up there and the pool was closed, and I was so heartbroken. But I remembered that there's a junior high school or a middle school over here that you can pay $3 and swim, right? And they're open for a couple of hours in the mornings on Saturdays and stuff and Sundays. So I turned my bike around, and I biked the extra mile and a half, 2 miles, whatever it was, took off, and got there, and the pool was open, and I was so grateful, man. I found a pool where everybody else was doing exactly what I wanted to do, which is just swim laps. And I found so much camaraderie there, even though I wasn't talking to anybody. Just the fact of seeing people swim, I found a camaraderie, and I found inspiration, right, and drive, because other people were doing exactly what I wanted to do, and I would watch them swim, and I would enjoy it, and so I started going back more and more to that pool, and sacrificing the $3 a day, and yeah, I absolutely fell in love with it, and the pounds just kept shedding off, and they just kept shedding off, and I at one point I knocked my window down to about 5 hours. Right, I was doing 19 hours no eating and 5 hours of eating, and I did that probably for about a month, and that was really harsh. I lost so much weight, right, and then I had to open it up a little bit more because it was just too much for me. I couldn't do it. I needed more proteins. I needed more, you know, uh, I needed more calories in, and I needed more vitamins and stuff like that. And that window wasn't giving it to me. So it's a test thing, right? It's a process. Like you figure it out. And I figured out what worked for me. And I was very mindful to pay attention to my body and what my body was saying and how it was speaking, right, to me. And so I wanted to make sure that that I paid attention, and I did. And so I would eat something tonight, and tomorrow morning I would use the bathroom, and I would already see how it had gone through my system, right? And when I would eat something and it wouldn't react with my system properly, and I could feel it as it's going through, digesting, processing, stuff like that, and then coming out, the feeling and then the color and the smell would tell me that's not something I need in my body anymore, and I would stop. And so that's how it worked. And I think that's probably one of the greatest things that an athlete can do is to pay attention to their body, right? And so, anyways, I so I decided to um I decided to stick to the plant-based diet, and I ended up joining a group on Facebook, my swim pro app community or something like that. And I ended up meeting somebody on there. His name is Michael, and he's from San Jose, California. He's a great guy, great swimmer. Shout out to you, Michael. And we started chatting because he posted a post that talked about if anybody's interested in doing the Alcatraz Invitational. And I thought for some reason he had said something about being a military person or something like that, or maybe it was just the fact that I was an amputee or something like that. But I remember turning around to him and saying, "Look, man, I don't know if I can do this." And we started chatting in Messenger, and he said, "Look, man, why don't you just find your way out here and we'll make it happen?" So I kept on training, and he was really kind and gracious enough to send me some sheets that he would write some stuff down on and take photographs. And he would say, "Hey, why don't you try this out?" Right. And so I would try the stuff out, and some of it I would do, and some of it I wouldn't do. It was just too hard for me, or I was, not ready to be doing that yet. And then I would go to this pool over here, and on Thursday nights there would be swimming at night, and I would go in the afternoons. And at 6:40, they would open up at 5:30, and at 6:45, you'd have to get out of the pool because a master's team would come in to swim. And I started noticing them. And I told Michael that there was a coach and there was a master's team, and and I started asking questions about what's a master's team and this and that. And he turned around and said, "Yo, man, why don't you ask the coach if he would give you a scholarship?" And I felt a little embarrassed about that. I felt a little off. And then, one day I was getting out of the water on a Tuesday, or I think it was a Thursday. Yeah, it was a Thursday. I was getting out of the water, and I walked past the coach, and the coach had already figured out who I was. And, every now and then it was like, "Hi, Kiko, how are you?" And as I was walking by him and stuff like that, "Hi, coach, how are you?" And just keep going. And then this day I walked past him. He goes, "Hi, Kiko, how are you?" I said, "Hey, coach, what's going on?" And I kept walking, and I got to my bike, and something inside of me, and I believe it was probably God, man, the God within. And God turned around and said, "Look, man, you know what? Go back and go ask him." And so I did. I went back and I asked him, and man, he said yes. Sure, come on, come swim with us on Tuesday at 6:45. Be here. And I was just like, I remember walking back to my bike, and as soon as I walked around the corner, dude, I broke down crying. I was so emotionally ecstatic and happy and joyful. You know, I just couldn't believe somebody was going to do something that big. He might not think it's big, you guys might, but for somebody to say, "I will coach you, I will show you how to swim properly," man, that just like blew my mind. And so I was definitely there 5:30, 6:45 on Tuesday, ready to go. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I struggled, but I absolutely loved it. And as somebody who's an ex-smoker, the swimming is absolutely, because of the anaerobic because of the anaerobic training that comes with swimming, I was able to start coughing up, I guess, residue stuff that has been sitting in my lungs for 11 years since I quit, right? And it has helped my breathing. Anyways, so I trained for about a year with him from about August to August. I got on my plane. Oh, by the way, last time I weighed myself before I left, I was 115 pounds down. So I had lost 115 pounds as a direct result of what I was doing. And I picked up sponsor after sponsor after sponsor. I had a bike sponsor, RBX. Jeff, you're great, man. I appreciate it. Much love to you, man. RBX doesn't exist anymore. I started Hammerhead Aquatics, which is my coach. I picked up Garmin sent me a watch, and I was extremely grateful for that. I started getting protein powders from a store, and I picked up all these sponsors and stuff. And I didn't even like really believe that this was going to happen, but it did, And then I got out to Alcatraz, man, and it just one of my sponsors, which was a clothing Rit Print. Thank you guys for printing my shirts for me. They paid for my airline ticket out to California, and man, I just dude, it was just this is crazy, man. This is really crazy what happened. So I got out there and I met Michael, and I got there a week before, right? And that same Monday night, like I met him and we went down to Aquatic Park and we swam just for a little bit. And now I had not trained in the ocean, right? I trained in a pool, but I would wake up every single morning and I would do a 4 o'clock in the morning. That's after going to sleep at like midnight or 11 o'clock. I would wake up at 4 a.m. every single morning. I would get to the foot of my bed and drop down and do core exercises, and they were great because they helped with I have L5, which is back on your spine, which is herniated, and I have C5 and C6 are bulging in my neck, and so the core exercises would help. I'd do a little bit of yoga, some stretching, and then I would get on my bike and I would take off and make it to the pool by 5 a.m. And my coach would show up with the rest of the team, and we would swim for about an hour and 15 minutes and do somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2,600 yards to 3,500 yards, and I guess maybe the average was probably 2,800 to 2,900 yards a day. And so I did it every single day, 7 days a week. And I did it for probably the first 6 months. And then I started knocking it down to 4 days a week. Just because it was really harsh and intense, and I run a business and I have my whole life and stuff, and I really needed extra time to do other stuff, to prepare and stuff like that. And so I was doing that, and then the day came, and and I would do 5 miles there and then 5 miles back, eat a plant-based protein shake, drink that, go back to sleep for 3 hours, wake up, come into my office and work. Right. And I would repeat that every day over and over. And then September came, man. August came, actually. And then I flew out and got to Alcatraz and did a couple training sessions in the ocean throughout the week that I was there. And I remember waking up 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I think it was, on that Monday, September 5th last year. And man, I was just so like, wow. I had no expectations, didn't know what, I was just enjoying everything, right? And I remember walking there, and I'll probably put some like remembrance things here, right? Like a collage or something like that, or a reel or something like that, with pictures and videos from the past and stuff. And it was an amazing experience, man. It was so easy to do too. I guess I had overtrained. Right. And when I got there, it was so much simpler than I thought it was going to be. I did it in an hour and 6 minutes and 59 seconds. I came in at, I think, around 180. There were 392 or 94 swimmers, I think there were. Everybody got a T-shirt. And I also got a medallion which is over there. As a matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Here it is. Yes. Yes. And when you get on, so I went on a fair. I didn't go on the ferry. I went on a dinghy. So we got out there before the ferry. So we had to sit and wait for the ferry to show up so everybody could get the starter gun. And so this is the poker chip, right, from the South End. Let me see. There we go. That they give you, South End Rowing Club, so that they know you're supposed to be on the ferry, right? And then here's my medal. And this is just I cherish this thing, man. Wow. And so that's my Alcatraz Invitational, South End Rowing Club swim medal. And so anyways, the whole point of this video is to talk about what I'm going to talk about now. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a backstory, right? And so let's do this. Follow for part 2, and I'll start from at the end of the swim, and maybe I'll post some videos and stuff of the swim, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So I will post some remembrance stuff from last year, some memory stuff, and then I will talk about what happened after the swim, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I hope maybe that you guys will follow, you guys will subscribe, you guys will follow my channel, subscribe, and you guys will watch the process of me going back to Alcatraz in 2025. Right. I can't go back next year because I have something that I'm doing in September. The World Convention for the fellowship that I belong to, the Narcotics Anonymous World Convention, is happening next year, and I'll be going to that in September. And so I plan to do the Alcatraz Invitational or the 8-mile swim from bridge to bridge swim in 2025. And I think I might just do the bridge to bridge swim just because I want to push myself. I want to do something bigger and better than the Alcatraz Invitational, right? I just want to push myself. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Much love. Peace.